Hello once again, and this is our next session at the Blockchain Community Day conference. This is day 5, and today we are going to talk with Xenia Volnistaya, who is a communications manager at a Web3 antivirus, and also Xenia, as she says, is a PR powerhouse with over 7 years of experience, 3 of which were spent mastering the art of Web3 PR and community building. And with experience gained from working on over 10 Web3 projects, Xenia is ready to share her insights on how to thrive in this rapidly evolving industry. So, and I would say that it's the right time to crack the code and master communication in blockchain and Web3. So, hello, Xenia, how are you?
Hi, Alec. Thank you for such a really pleasant start of this session. I'm really fine and ready to share my thoughts and also to answer some questions and maybe to learn something new.
So, I think I was experiencing some lags. Yeah, let me know if you lost me. So, hello, Xenia, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, now it works. Okay, so
Awesome.
yeah,
Sorry.
Xenia, thank you for being with us, and we are very happy to be on the same stage with you and to talk about communications around Web3 projects, since it's a topic. This topic is missing on most of the Web3 companies still, and the knowledge base about this sphere is not that deep, considering any other kinds of topics in Web3. And so, let me just try to turn on your presentation, and while I'm doing it, you can just say a pair of welcoming words,
Okay,
and
so hello to everyone.
we will be
I'm
good to
really,
start.
can you hear me? Hello?
So, yes, I think you are losing me from time to time. I'm
No,
sorry if
basically I can hear you clearly, but it looks like some troubles on my side. Can you hear me for
yeah,
now?
yeah, we can hear you now. I hope the problem is still on my side, since you are going to speak for the next 30 minutes or so. So please, yeah, we are now turning on the presentation. Let me see if we can see your screen, and after that we'll be good to start.
Okay, so can you hear my screen? Awesome.
Just a second. Yeah, loading. Yeah, just press that hide button on the pop-up. Yeah. So yeah,
Can you
perfect.
see my slideshow now?
All right. Yeah, great. So the stage is
Awesome.
yours. Good luck, Xenia.
Thank you, Alec. So hello to everyone. It's a huge pleasure and honor to participate in such an event. As Alec mentioned, my name is Xenia and I'm a public relation and community advisor in tech and Web3 projects. And particularly last 2 years, I'm working with blockchain industry projects like some infrastructural projects, security projects, and not only. And I really want to share my thoughts about what's going on with communities in Web3 nowadays, because there are a lot of talk that Web3 is dying, what's going on. No one really care about what's interesting or maintained in the sphere. And I really want to split the tea to share my thoughts, what's going on, and how to build strong communities nowadays, and also to maybe have some feedbacks, because it's always really important to understand another opinion on the same problem or question. So basically, hello, that's me again. And today we'll talk about 4 main questions. I will try to make it as short as possible, but basically there are so many things I want to share with you and discuss, but I will try to be on time. So basically the first and the most important question is about communities, about what's going on with blockchain sphere nowadays. Secondly, why building communities is still the most influential way to create a strong and successful product and project. And also we will talk about reputation risks in Web3, because I think that this team is almost never discussing on such a conference, but I think it's a huge mistake, especially after last year. And I can also share my tips of how to create a successful community nowadays. Of course, it's all the tips and tricks that you can share or look at or search in internet is like, cooking. You have the same recipe, you have the same ingredients and spices, but each person has their own dish. So it's only my opinion, but I'm definitely sure that despite the fact that I'm working mostly with security and infrastructural project, you can also use some tips for DAOs, NFTs, crypto tokens, GameFi projects, and so on and so forth. So basically, let's start with the base. What is community? I think that it's quite obvious that everyone knows what is community, but let's start from the beginning. And it's absolutely normal for each person to be a part of community, because we live in society, and society is consist of communities. You can have community of your house, at the university, at your work, in the gym, or for example, in some hobby part. And community, it's logical that community is also a part of blockchain, but basically, I think that Web3 and blockchain is one of the great examples how communities can create a specifically new sphere to develop. And basically, that's the reason why I choose this topic for today, because community is I think a bit underpriced theme, and a lot of people are talking about how to raise investment, how to make security, how to make more marketing in Web3 nowadays, and that's quite important too. But not a lot of people are thinking about community, how to develop your community, how to make your community stronger, how to avoid some risks, and how to communicate with your community members to create a really strong relation that can help you to provide the products for years. So basically, I think that community is the key to developing your product, because basically, if no one believes in your project and you don't have supporters, it's really hard to understand what's going on, firstly, and secondly, to understand that your product will be live in 1 month, 1 year. A second option and the second huge plus of community is scaling, because if people who are part of your community really like what you're doing, they will try to share the information about your product to their friends, colleagues, partners, and so on and so forth. Secondly, it's about profit. Of course, we all knew that almost all really good ideas are just about to make something great for people, for our society, but it's normal to have an ability and to have a desire to get some profit from your work. And the great community and good community members can also make a lot of profit for the product and project. Also, community is about branding. It's also about communication. It's all about how people see you, how people talk about you, look at you, and yeah. And community is all about reputation, because if you have a bad reputation, it looks like people don't want to become part of your community. But we will talk about it a bit later, because reputation and risks is also a really important thing in Web3 nowadays. So how to create a community? Basically, it's quite simple stuff to make your own community. Another question is how to make it more successful, or like a really like-minded group of people. So basically, you need to have a unique idea or unique group to show people that you can provide something that they can't find from other communities. Secondly, the loyalty of the audience. The audience need to think and need to see that you are really passionate about this product, that they really can trust you and can make something with you, because basically community is a really good power to implement in something new. Engagement activities. I think that people sometimes can be a bit lazy, so it's fine to think how can you make some engagement stuff, how to involve people into your work, or for example, deciding something, where should we go, or how we should make our roadmap, or should we make, for example, minting tokens this year or next year. So people are really appreciate when you ask their opinion. So engagement activities and communication with your community is also a really great part. And feedback. It's also the part of the punct 3, but feedback is also really important. I think that unfortunately a lot of products and projects are not really happy with, for example, to have a negative feedback. But people didn't understand that negative feedback is your point of growth. So basically, if it's like a normal feedback, and you definitely understand that you have some troubles or disadvantages in your product, and you can fix it, then people will start to trust you more, and even more. Even after the bad feedback, they can still remain the part of your community and even make it more active of communicating with you and participate in some activities. There are a lot of great examples of Web3 communities that are quite strong, which can, for example, be a really good examples for inspiration. And I definitely in love with Lobster DAO. They didn't pay me for any advertising. I think that they even didn't know about me, my existing in this world, in Web3 also. But they have a really great community, they have a really strong goals, and they have a lot of useful information, and not only for their communities. In fact, people who didn't understand how community works can look at Lobster DAO and they're like, okay, so it's just a Lobster NFT. But things is much more complicated in this case, in a good way. And I think that Lobster DAO is a really great example for inspiration for people who want to create their own community nowadays. So let's speak about the not like a really fun part of Web3, but also about some troubles that Web3 has. And unfortunately, as we all know, these troubles dedicated to almost everyone who trying to explain and explore Web3. So basically, I think that there are three horsemen of Web3 apocalypses. It's market situation, scams, and corrupt bloggers. Some of you can disagree with me about corrupt bloggers, but I will explain this point a bit later. So firstly, let's speak about crypto winter 2030 and 0. So here's a chart about NFT market situation. So basically in crypto, we have almost the same situation. Market is still falling down, and unfortunately, that's the reason why a lot of products has real troubles for scaling, for implementing, and for engaging people into their communities. Because basically the interest for Web3, especially from people who lost a lot of money and assets on NFT and crypto, it's getting lower and lower. And unfortunately, not a lot of projects has the ability to engage not only with some tokens or NFTs. So it's sad, but that's the rule, you know, about the markets and economy, that is always up and always down. So of course, when we will have another rise of crypto and NFT market, we will have a bunch of new Web3 projects and communities that will start to grow like mushrooms after rain. But for now, it is what it is. Secondly, last year was a really crazy one for crypto and NFT community, and here are only 3 cases that definitely show why a lot of people who are not deep into blockchain start to think that blockchain Web3 is a scam. So basically, we start with Terra Luna, then we had PTX case and Silicon Valley Bank. Fortunately for Silicon Valley Bank, this case was quite it was quite better than previous 2, but in any cases, people who didn't involve into blockchain, they start to read this news, look at the amounts of money that people lost during this incidents, and they start to think that blockchain is not really the sphere in which they have any opportunities. And that's not true, but it is what it is. Secondly, it's all about security. Unfortunately, because Web3 is a quite young and still implementing sphere, we have a lack of security. And that's the reason why a lot of people got scammed, especially some NFT holders and people who just trying to connect into communities. There are a lot of cases when even, for example, Bored Ape, Yacht Club, Discord were hacked. So it's like high-level NFT collections and projects. Even they can't give you 100% guarantee that they are security. So people are start to be afraid, because basically a lot of people are investing a huge amounts of money in crypto and Web3, and they don't want to lose this money. So yeah. The third one is about influencers and popular people in Web3. Of course, it's quite normal when influential persons start to monetize their trust, success, their followers. But unfortunately for Web3, blockchain is becoming, a bit strange sphere for PR and marketing with influencers. Because basically, especially for now, or like 1 year ago, a huge amounts of money had a really scam projects. And a lot of different bunch of bloggers, they start just to take money and to make advertise. And they didn't thought about the reputation, about that, the fact that their followers can lose a lot of assets and so on and so forth. And that's just an example. It was a huge scandal maybe 1 year ago about a database of Twitter influencers that was leaked in Twitter, and a lot of people were shocked that even really trustless people started to take money. And another question is that because of the reason that there are a lot of people who wanted to buy advertising in crypto and Web3, a lot of influencers don't want to work for for the results. They want to get their money for now, and then they will start to share some thoughts, maybe. So yeah, and it's a really sad situation because influencers have no interest for the development of the project, and I think that it's definitely not what Web3 was about. Firstly. So speaking about social networks, we are coming to the next part, how to build community, how to present your ideas and make a really great place to connect your community. So social networks for now is essential. I think it's quite obvious even for everyone. I think that almost all of us starts our morning with scrolling Twitter, LinkedIn, or TikTok or Instagram, depends on your taste. No shame, it's fine. But it's also important to understand that if you don't have any socials of your product, especially in Web3, like you're not here. So speaking of Twitter, Twitter is still one of the most powerful and most influential place for Web3 degens, OGs, newbies, and other guys. But unfortunately, Twitter has some troubles nowadays. It's not only about the management. I think it's more about the algorithm of Twitter. And second question and second huge problem is bots. There are so many bots and so many options how to make some views, some reposts and likes and follows. So Twitter are losing the trust of the people. And I think that for now, a lot of people are pretending to stay in Telegram or in Discord despite of Twitter. But Twitter is still influential, and it's quite important to understand that you need to have some activity in Twitter and show people that you are still here. Also, Twitter is really good for engaging with some Web3 professionals and Web3 influencers, because basically you can answer to everyone, you can discuss something in comments or in threads. So Twitter is still here, but on my opinion, Twitter is not one of the most powerful and interesting instrument for new Web3 projects for now. The second one, Discord. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Discord. Of course, I'm using it because a lot of people are sitting in Discord. A lot of projects have Discord as like a main stage for their community. But basically, Discord has some disadvantages for me. Maybe I'm too old to understand all the pressures of Discord, but on my opinion, and not only on my opinion, as the stats show, Telegram is going more and more priceless for Web3 users and communities. And a lot of communities start to make their Telegram channels and chats. Of course, the system of bots already helps. And it's quite more useful for you, for example, if you're using Telegram in your work or private life, to spend also in Telegram to look at some news, to show something, and yeah. So basically, especially for Lobster, the example that I showed previously, I really love with their Telegram. They have a really great system of chats, of groups, and it looks really nice. The fourth point is LinkedIn. Surprise. Of course, LinkedIn is more like a professional network, and I think that a lot of people in Web3 they're like, we are not like too serious. We don't need to have a LinkedIn, but that's the really critical mistake, especially if you have a Web3 startup that wanted to raise some funds. You 100% need to have a LinkedIn page, not only like your personal page, but also like a group page of your company. Because the first, one of the first steps when people will start to look at your pitch and your product, they will try to find you on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a really good place to find connections, especially after some Web3 conference. A lot of people are looking for each other on LinkedIn and look with whom you are connected before or planning to connect to. Number 5, and I think that that's really like typical Web3 theme, to have some blogs and to communicate via some great text, announcements, EMA recap, and so on and so forth. And I think that Medium, Substack, and Hackathon for some a bit more professional projects can be a really great example of how to increase your community. Because of course you can have your blog on your own website, but it's also really essential to be in these social networks, just because it shows the level of your expert opinion, firstly, and secondly, I think that it's not true that people don't want to read for now. I think that Web3 is still the sphere in which people are still reading a lot. Because basically, a lot of people who are just wanted to go into project and became the part of community, they wanted to read your roadmap and the white paper. So I think that to make some really great articles and really great materials is also essential, and you accumulate a really intelligent people into your community. It's also a really great, a real great point for growth. Number 6 is Web3 socials. It's a bit sad story, to be honest, because I started to test Web3 socials since December. I didn't test Lens protocol because they have some really strange system to involve, and I think that it's not a way in which Web3 socials should go, on my opinion, but I can be wrong. But there are a couple of really interesting examples. For example, like Link3. It's a really interesting Web3 social in which you can have, you can also communicate with communities, you can also collaborate, and there are also a lot of, for example, Crew3 or Zilly, they make a rebranding to make some quests for a community, to make this gamification part that involve people to participate more and more. But I think that Web3 socials is a really strange story. I'm not sure that it will be like a future of social networks. I think that, on my opinion, it will be more relevant for like a classical one social network to implement some Web3 stuff. For example, like Facebook and Instagram are making. They're making like NFT avatars. You can also in Twitter, you can show your NFT avatars and so on and so forth. Number 7 is Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Unfortunately, they are on the last place, just because on Instagram and Facebook, I think that the auditory is it's really hard for people who are looking for community to find you in Instagram and Facebook. Not only because of the age, just because of the fact that these social networks are not about blockchain, and they are not only about making some fun. TikTok is another story. TikTok is a really interesting case because basically they have a real option to scale Web3 thing, and there are a lot of crypto bloggers who just trying to start from TikTok. But the algorithm of TikTok that they changed on April, at the end of April this year, it starts to block video about crypto and blockchain because it thinks that you are trying to sell something to someone. I think that they should fix this problem, and TikTok can be a really great point to build your video community. But for now, it is what it is. Speaking of Web3 community trends in 2023, on my opinion, it's about exclusivity. because people don't want to be, you know, like a 1 of 1 million person in community. They want to communicate. They want to connect to people with whom they are in community, and they also want a bit more attention. And that's why the exclusivity of the communities for now is the key to success. So people wanted to have something that not everybody can have. Second trend, and I think that's maybe one of the most important and influential trends from last 2 years, is community within the community. Which means that inside the communities you have like a structure, and you have, like, for example, your expert community, community of OGs. So even inside the community, people have the goal where they should go if they will be too active, too expert, too cool for your Web3 projects. And also having an expert, angels, and some really influential people in Web3 can definitely be a huge plus, because for now, unfortunately, it's really hard to make something great without any connections. I think that's a really big loss of Web3, but it's a normal process because the sphere is scaling. And if we will speak about 2017, for example, when everyone can, for example, just enter some Discord chat and text, "Hey guys, I have a great idea, maybe you can support me," and everyone will be like, "Oh yeah, okay, nice, great." So straight after 2020, we have a straight another situation, because a lot of people after this crypto and NFT hype entered the sphere. And you know, OGs start to be more close to the newbies, and the quality of newbies are getting lower and lower, unfortunately, because people are not going for some, you know, really technical knowledges. They want to just go buy some cheat coin, make 10x, and then sell it. So basically, that's the reason why the negative between blockchains here it starts to, you know, accumulating straight from 2020. The third and really important trend is about the value. Of course, it's normal that people want to get something from your projects. For example, they wanted to have some equity token, they want to have some roles, they want to have some priority or white list when you're launching something. But a lot of projects still continue making, you know, this tomorrow presents. So tomorrow or in next month or in 2 months, we will give you like $100 million. But for now, please make this. I think that people stop to believe in such a stuff, except for in some really huge communities. But we are speaking about building your own community nowadays. So it's really important to understand that you need to give something people to take their trust back. So speaking of some tips and tricks that I want to share with you about during my presentation, I'm 100% sure that strong brand means strong community. And unfortunately, not only in blockchain, but also in tech industry, the understanding the brand is also really important. And you need to have not only a marketer, but also a public relation manager starts to appear maybe in 2018, 19. So before the market was growing, and people were like, okay, so we still have some clients, we still have a lot of options. So why do we need to think about branding? We just make a cool picture and that's all. Unfortunately for everyone, today is a bit another station. Well, not a bit, but yeah. And for now, people are looking for strong brands. You definitely need to understand what you're selling, what are your goals, what are your values. And market for now is overfull. And especially if we're speaking about some tech industry. So strong branding is the key to success and the key to explaining and easy communicating with your community members. So the best option to make a strong brand is to hire a good specialist, for sure. But if you are just, have a startup or having an idea to try, it's one of the best options is to answer 3 questions after you make a brand. What do you have to offer? What's your unique offer for people, for community, for Web3? why should your community be chosen? Because basically there are too many options for now, and I think that it's getting less and less creative ideas, and there are a lot of conquerors during the market that start to implement at the same time. And the third question is, what makes your Web3 project unique? It's all about the unique. Of course, it's really nice to have the chance Peggy Penguins, the Copycat, or Base Lions, Degens Club, but people wanted to have something that will be treasure in the future. Second trend is AI. I'm a huge fan of what AI can provide as an instrument for blockchain and for tech particularly. And I think it's a really nice idea to use AI for making your community strong, for growing your community, for raising your community also. Here are one of the most interesting and, on my opinion, useful websites and platforms that I definitely particularly use. Tweepy is a really great option for Twitter, for following, unfollowing, and searching your potential part of communities. Expandy is the same stuff, but also for LinkedIn. It's really great to scaling your product and the page of your product in LinkedIn. And you can also find some really great investors or Web3 people who are also here. So Tweet Hunt is a really great option for planning tweets, for making some really good stuff. And they also implemented AI part that definitely help to make your tweets more viral, that definitely can give you a bunch of tweets on the same theme for your inspiration, as an example. Well, Notion AI and ChatGPT, I think that everyone knows about them, but it's also a really great option for you to make your text more clear, more tone, more interesting, and more fun. Tip number 3, it's also really important to not to be present to investors, to potential people from your communities. I think that a lot of people starts to forget that Web3 is a quite unique sphere, and people in Web3, they don't choose usually only one community or project. They are looking for a different one. And a really great options to find your community is to look at other communities. But in this case, you need an option to let people find you. And I think that in this case, there are really great options to show your product, to show to find some inspiration from different projects and products, and to also make some connections with other guys who are building something in Web3. So basically everyone knows about Product Hunt. I think that last 2-3 years, Product Hunt not as powerful as it was previously, but it still have Web3 and NFT parts, so you can also scroll and look at new projects that just start to implement, or for example, they launch something interesting and new. Third one is particularly Web3 themes, and I'm really in love with the debt list. At number 2, they have a really great options for community to decide which product need to have more attention from Web3 users, and Smoothie has the same option. Sorry, give me a sec. So they like a Web3 startup aggregators, and they can definitely give you the option to look at the opinion of the Web3 public, because people can vote for your project and also can give some feedback. Other number 3, aka number 4, is to be real and honest with people. I think that sometimes people forgot that blockchain is usually about the trust. Of course, we have a lot of technical stuff. We have a lot of options to secure information, to be transparent in some cases and be super secured in other. But community is always about like having relations with your friends or family. Of course, you don't need to share all the dirty secrets. You can just show people that you are really in touch with them, that their opinion is really important, and you can show that you are ready. You are ready to go. You are ready to connect. You are ready to work together. You're ready to listen to people. You're also ready to have some feedback, even if it will be negative. So I think that making community is also, it's really important to be, as as open as you are. So yeah, to sum up everything that I said, I really wanna wish a good luck to people who are trying to make communities nowadays, because unfortunately it's not the best time. But at the same way, I think that not the best time is not the reason to not try. And I really hope that people who have really great ideas, who really influential and powerful and have this option and desire to make their communities, they will definitely have and make it. If we'll speak about some industries in blockchain in which I think there are a huge potential for now. So I think that GameFi are still going into blockchain, and we are not talking about only P2P, P2E or M2E games. I think that the game sphere can be a really good driver for AI, for blockchain. Also, all the AI Web3 startups are starting to grows from everywhere. But I think that it's really important to understand that AI hype, it won't be long. So if you have some really great idea with AI, it's always welcome. Unfortunately, in Web3, there aren't a lot of solutions for building communities. So basically, it's also a really great field in which people can make their own communities and projects. I really hope that one day someone will make a really great platform to try to implement everything that we know about classic community in Web2 and Web3 communities and make it work better, faster, and stronger. So yeah, speaking of the last thing that I wanted to say about the communities and building it nowadays is that it's really hard for now to not to have rules inside a community. And I will try to explain why. Firstly, as I mentioned previously, after 2020, a bunch of new people, newbies, came into Web3. And before 2017, 2020, blockchain sphere was like some really cozy, nice, loud crowded place. And people who remembered these times, they started to be not like aggressive, but a bit negative to people who just came into the sphere. And that's the main problem point for now. Because basically you need to have a two-strategic communication with two different groups of people. And you also need to think how to combine them together. Of course, if we are talking about Web3 projects that just launched, and for example, you have like some specific part, you won't be able to see this difference between them. But if we're speaking about some really influential communities, I spoke with a bunch of projects, and they have a really great problems because basically they can't plan common activities, because for people who just enter the sphere, they wanted one type of activities, and OGs wanted straight another. Anyway, I think that everything is possible, especially in Web3, and I think that Web3 is a really great example how to make something impossible more possible. And I really believe that this technology can increase the level of our life, education, and the way we are living and communicating. So I'm really waiting for a really great stuff, projects, people, and communities to be more strong, to be more interesting and more powerful in a couple of years. Yeah, so thank you a lot for listening to me for 40 minutes. It was a real pleasure to be a part of blockchain community today. So thank you for inviting, and I'm ready to answer your questions if you have any.
So, thank you, Xenia, so much for delivering such a great content and for bringing some system into this chaotic system we have
Wild
in
word here.
community building. Yeah, yeah, that's very wild, I would say. And there always have been this regular community building. There always have been this developer relation kind of things, and the community building, community management in Web3. I think it needs some kind of different new terms, new words, but not the
Definitely.
same legacy community type naming. And so, yeah, maybe we will not go deep into the general terms about what is community building in Web3 and so on, since we've got only 5 minutes left before the next session. And I would like to speak more about the about good examples of implementing a good Web3 community and marketing strategy. Could you please name some kind of good examples of hosting a good community in Web3?
Well, as I mentioned previously, Lobster is a really great one. I think also that DAO makers did a great job. And basically, it depends on the sphere because
Mm-hmm.
blockchain is has a lot of industries for now. I think that in NFT wars, we also have a really great example. For example, apes. I think that Bored Apes Yacht Club can also be the theme of some PhD in blockchain because the way they implemented, created a lot of stuff, going to Web 2, coming back to Web 3, going to Metaverse, that's really great. Of course, it's all about the money. But yeah, I really like the DGEMs. If you're speaking about NFT collections, I really enjoy Peggy Penguins. They're also really nice because I also participate in a couple of side events on NFT Paris. And it was really a lot of fun, when you're meeting all these people offline and you have a straight different influence on them. So yeah, speaking of some security stuff, there are a really nice bunch of projects that also have a great community, but they all more like about validating. So basically, validating is also a really great option for building a community.
Okay, yeah, thank you for such great examples. Yes, I think at least half of them were very familiar to my ears. And so, yeah, you listed this good examples of building Web3 communities, and I think there should be some kind of uh, notable mechanisms of how these companies, these organizations, quote unquote, entertain their audiences. I mean, it's not just you host a Discord server, you open a Telegram group, and the community is going. So it starts to uh, it starts to be building itself. But what are the mechanisms of how the companies work with their audience?
Well, as I mentioned previously, the main thing is the idea. So idea should be simple and attractive to people who are joining your community. Secondly, is the value. Because basically, ape holders, for example, definitely know why they hold an ape or ape token. And thirdly, I think it's all about the atmosphere inside the community. Because basically, you can hire three community managers, but if they're not in deep into blockchain, if they are not really passionate about your projects, if you are not sharing some news insights and what's going on, it's really hard for people to become a part of your community, even if they want to. So yeah, I think that idea, value, and communication is like the best triangle of building community.
Okay, yeah, I think that was very useful to know, and I hope to research this topic on my end at least, and we will provide you with such a content from time to time about Web3 communities, and hope to do some big projects in the nearest future at our blockchain professionals community. So please stay tuned, wait for the updates. We will let you know. Maybe by the end of July, we will be having some news about community building. And yeah,
That's
thank you,
great.
Xenia, so much for being
Thank
with
you, Ali.
us. And
Thank you
yeah, I'd
all the
like to
participants.
yeah, thank all the participants. And the next session is the Web3 loyalty opportunity. I think that will be very great continuation of the things we discussed today with Xenia. And the next session will be hosted by my colleague Daniel Simpson. And the guest speaker is Ryan Kuhl, who is a partnerships manager at Polygon Labs. So please, yeah, we'll be back in 1.5 minutes right after the transition video. Stay tuned. See you soon.